Welcome back, everyone, to Mostly Car Stuff. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the final, maybe, probably not, Focus RS, Subaru's STIRA and BRZ teases, and the prices finally being unveiled and or leaked for both the Civic Type R and the Dodge Demon. But first, Patrick, my trusty co-host of one episode now, as you know, I guess I should have introduced myself, Garrett. Have recently come into do you call it ownership when it's finance? Probably not. I've recently come into debt of a 2015 Mustang GT, and because of that, I've been neglecting my other relationship in the car world with my.
You're talking about your wife? You're talking about your wife?
No. Katie's been chilling in the co-pilot seat. Every mile of the way. No, I've been neglecting my other car relationship, which is my Scion FRS. I haven't really driven it well at all since I got the Mustang.
It's like that stepchild now, you know. It doesn't get any of the attention anymore.
I mean, that's first of all, that's offensive, A, to stepchilds, and B, to my FRS, which I still love very much. So I drove it. I took it out yesterday for the first time, really, since. Well, getting the S550, and man, dude, that car is really fun.
That's what they're known for. The FRS and the BRZ, like, they're known as an overall fun vehicle.
Yeah,
they might not be the fastest in the world factory, but they're definitely a lot of fun from what my understanding is.
Yeah, because at the level I'm at, it's I don't know I did all this research trying to figure out what the hell it was going to be my next car, and landed on the fact that I was going to go for it. I was going to go get a GT because it's a car I've always wanted. But in that time, I spent a lot of time researching, watching reviews, test driving a few cars, and you always hear that, right? You always hear that. It's like, for the price, for the horsepower, that the FRS is just a fun car because it's something that you can drive 10 out of 10 all the time, everywhere, and you're not going to go to jail because you're not going to be breaking the speed limit because of the restrictions of the horsepower of the car. And I always heard that, and I was always like, yeah, I totally agree with that, having only driven that and never having had a faster car. And now having a car with more than double the horsepower in the 15 GT, and then going back and taking the FRS out for the first time in like a month, I really noticed the difference. It is not all just lip service. These people all of these reviewers, all of these car nuts are completely on the money. It's I have to drive with a light foot. I have to be very careful when I'm driving the GT. And with the FRS last night, I took it out. It had just finished raining. I turned off all the nannies, all the traction control. It's
an
automatic.
Beat on that sucker, didn't you?
It's an automatic, so I threw it in the manual, and I just I broke the wheels out at 30 miles an hour from a dead stop and had a great time.
But sometimes you need one of those, like, especially now that you're into the GT and you can't do those things anymore. You don't have that car that you can just beat on and not worry about it. You get on an on-ramp and you can floor it and not worry about going sideways. Like, that is... Everyone needs one of those cars, and that definitely makes sense for the FRS.
Yeah, so I just had, I was all smiles going and picking up a takeout pizza last night. It was a good time.
Great.
It was a good time.
Awesome.
And I got stuck behind a turbo 911 who...
oh, jeez.
Once he realized that I was out having fun, just had to show me up. And that,
of course.
And he was just gone. Poof. Just he was there and he wasn't. I may have been imagining things.
That is a good segue into my story for this week with my car. So those of you guys that checked out last episode, I have a 2005 WRX that I have a handful of bolt-on modifications, customized tune to it, everything like that. And I will be honest, I don't think I've street raced anyone in like 10 years. And I don't condone it. I have a family, I have kids, I have a life, a career, and
within moments you're going to see
ahead.
Patrick's wife just kick the door down and come in and just drag him out of there like, you did what?
So I always recommend these things for like the track. Like, I was scheduled to go to the track the other weekend, like that is where, like, the drag strip is where those things should be had. On the way home, having dinner with some buddies tonight, and open highway, concrete walls on each side, 2-lane road, open for about half a mile, and I come up on a late 90s bright orange not stock in any way. Honda Civic has a body kit on it. Sounds pretty decent. It has a blow-off valve on it, so I know it's turbo. I couldn't tell you what it is. I don't know if it's a B16 or what in there, but roll up on it, roll right past it. It's a guy, hipster shades, big beard, bald head. Driving this thing kind of looks like down low. You can see he has like a big e-brake in there and everything like that. So I just passed by it, acknowledged the car, respect the car. As a car enthusiast, he's put the money into it, not only in the body, but also in the engine. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I cruise by him. I'm in 5th gear or whatever. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 4th, because I downshifted before I approached him just in case. So I'm in 4th gear, and I'm, I don't know, 20 yards ahead. And I hear him from behind coming up on me, and he pulls right up aside. He kind of nods and waves and, kind of know what he's asking for. So I do the traditional 3 honk, and he takes off. Like 3rd honk, he takes off. He jumps on me, I would say a good 2 car lengths.
He was waiting for 4th.
It. He was ready for it. He was, I don't know, I probably could have been in 3rd, but I would have been in halfway through my boost curve. So I was in 4th, which was great because my boost kicks in at 3,500 RPMs. So, I am cruising and I'm in 4th. It's probably 60, 65. And so he bumps ahead 2 car lengths. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm impressed. Like, this is pretty good. But I had, floored it as need be. Well, by then I'm at peak boost at 18.5 pounds. And I'm just creeping on him and just blow right by that sucker. And by the time we hit 120, I decided to shift into 5th. And we were done with that. I was like, nope, I'm done. I am 4 car lengths ahead of him. But I was very impressed. 1, with my car, because I haven't gone head-to-head with anyone, drag strip or not yet. I was kind of happy with that. But 2, I don't know what he had in there. Some Civics can be no joke depending on it. And 3, it was respectful. He came up beside me. He waved his head, gave me a thumbs up, and then I went on my way. He went on his way. It was all good. So that was my story for the night.
Lovely. So are you sure, Petra? I'm going to give you one more chance. You want me to bring the stream down? I could delete this. I could redact some of the...
You don't know me. You don't know where I live. You
enough.
Don't know who I am.
Fair enough. His name is Mr. Octane Pro.
That's right. But yeah, so it was really enjoyable. There were a few things that stood out to me. 1, just the respect between him and I that we had. Sometimes you can get people that are just too egotistical. And 2, I was just happy with the way my car performed. So yeah, it worked out well. So I was like, oh, Garrett, I have a story to share tonight.
Oh, that's fantastic. I had a Charger RT want to race this past Saturday, but we were on like a 40 mile an hour 2-lane like neighborhood road, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he took off, probably hit about 65 before he slowed down. I was just like, no. Yeah, nope.
You'll have those. You're driving a vehicle now that is like a giant target.
Oh, absolutely. So. The second night I took the GT out, I was coming back home. Katie was out of town, and I was just coming back from seeing some friends, and it was a 13 or a 14 Mustang GT showed up, next to me. They had aftermarket wheels. They had lowered it. Beyond that, I have no idea if there was anything else done to the car, but they were dropping it down into the lowest gear possible and revving and going really fast, and then we'd stop at the stoplight, and then they'd go really fast again. And again, we're on. No, I'm not doing it. If you see me, if for whatever reason you know what my car looks like, I am not going to race you on a neighborhood street. If we're on an on-ramp, I'll have a little fun, but no.
Yeah, like I enjoy that too. Like when I get onto an on-ramp and if there is a car and a person of like-mindedness behind me or in front of me, and we want to take off together on the on-ramp, it's like, okay, sure. We're still going to speed limit to a degree as we get onto the highway. So yes, I can see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say it happened all that often with the FRS. Although I will say, driving the FRS, if I see another 86 out on the road, whether it's FRS or BRZ, you always get the wave. This is something Jeep owners always explained to me growing up, and now I understand it. Does not really happen in the Mustang.
Happens on the Subarus, WRXs and the STIs. It is a must. I I think I can count on one hand the amount that have not waved back. So yeah, it's definitely a thing.
One BRZ did not wave to us, and it was a BRZ that overtook, hit their brakes, revved again. Their license plate said LOL FRS. So if you were in Florida and you have the LOL FRS plate, you, sir, are a jackass. Also, you were missing half of your rear bumper, so maybe don't do stuff like that. But whatever the case is, it's don't get as many acknowledgments of the GT. Mustang's not a little more common sight on the highway than the 86. But anyway, dude. So last episode was our introductory episode. We went through our car histories, got let our listeners kind of get to know us and the cars that we've owned, kind of know where our head is at. So now we're back for our second episode. We're planning on doing 2 episodes a month, by the way, just to get this off the ground, see how it goes. If you were curious as to why maybe there was not an episode last week, but since we last met, dude, there's been a lot of car news, specifically for cars that you and I are excited about, cars that we care about.
Absolutely.
And so the first one I'd like to kick off with was a headline, multiple headlines that I would file under misleading that got me very concerned over the last 2 weeks, which is the news that a limited edition Focus RS is coming out for the 2018 model year, and they're marketing it as the final RS for 2018, when in reality it is very likely that 2019 is going to be the redesign year for the Focus platform. So this is most likely going to be the final RS on this current generation Focus. Which
it's really surprising to me because like the ST came out, and I feel like a lot of people I know own the ST because they couldn't get their hands on the RS yet. Like it wasn't out yet.
It didn't exist in the States.
Yeah, and people
until
were waiting
2 years ago.
and driving the ST and doing everything the ST. And the ST is great. It's a great car. It's a great platform for a tuner. It just works all around. And then the RS came out, and like all the hype around the RS. It's hard to get your hands on them. But the price point was really up there, like STI price point, and that's like in my realm. Like those are the cars that I look at. This is what you had considered, before the GT was looking at the ST, and the RS was too expensive.
I'll throw the first punch. I will buy an RS before an STI any day of the week, personally.
Sorry to hear that, but moving forward though, so I'm really surprised that they're doing this with the RS. I feel like I understand why, because it's in that ST family, like it's in that entire platform as you talked about. It's been around for quite some time now, and they're moving on. But I feel like the RS is like just getting off the ground. I believe though, with the next platform of the Ford Focus, they'll be able to ride the hype of the RS. Yeah, they'll be able to continue that. But yeah, I mean, it looks good. Kind of making a limited edition of them. I think it's cool. It's a good marketing ploy that they're running. The new kind of thing is, and we'll talk about this more with our next news topic, but the new thing right now is your solid color car with a black roof and the black spoiler. Like that kind of two-tone setup is becoming bigger and bigger, not only with the Focus, but with the Evos they were, and same thing with the WRX and STI series.
Yeah, absolutely. It was something it's something I've been wanting to do the FRS for a long time. We have a white FRS, and I just think it would look very slick to have a black dye roof, so it kind of connects the front windshield to the rear windshield. It's just an aesthetic that I enjoy, and for me, I think it goes back to what was it, like the early, like just a little bit after 2010 when they were offering glass roofs on the Mustangs. I just thought that looked real slick. So this limited edition RS, they're building 1,500 of these things. 1,000 are coming here, 500 are heading up to Canada, and for the most part, it's mostly aesthetic upgrades. But they are getting a mechanical limited slip differential for the front wheels, which is a big change from the I guess only 2 years of RSs that we've gotten in the States. But yeah, I like I said, when I first read these headlines, I was freaking out. But as I've dug a little deeper, I'm just like, oh, this is probably just clickbait. I think we're okay.
Yes,
I think we're gonna be just fine. Because in my mind it's like, oh, the FRS will be paid off in like 3 years. We'll just get a third car in 3 years. We'll just get an RS in 3 years. That's my plan.
There you go.
So please keep making them, or Hopefully I can find a used one in 3 years. Good luck me, I guess. All right. Patrick, do you want to take the next one? Because I know you're probably a little excited about it.
Absolutely. So there's been a lot of hype going on recently within the kind of Subaru market with a variety of things, with the BRZ we'll get into next, but also with the STI. So news kind of broke out that Subaru is bringing back the hardcore WRX STI Type RA. And those of you guys not familiar, overseas, there's always different models that never make it to the US. There's a lot of really big ones over in like Japan that are, totally different than what we have over here. With the Impreza, we have the Impreza, the WRX, and the STI. But over in Japan, they have a slew over the years of different models that have kind of put ours to shame over here. The Type RA was one of them that they had in the early 90s that we never got a chance to see over here. We were kind of stuck with the Impreza 2.5. And then we kind of jumped into our WRX very early on in the 2000s. So there's been some teasing going on within the Subaru community recently that the WRX STI is making its return as the Type RA. And those of you guys familiar, the WRX STI, that name, WRX STI, was something in the mid-2000s that they were using for the STI. It wasn't just a straight STI labeled. It had WRX in that, and the RA is possibly looking to come back. We kind of got some sneak peek pictures here with kind of a carbon fiber roof. And this picture that we've seen here, that'll be in the notes, it's blue, but it's kind of blurred out that you can't see. But this was a big discussion on the Subaru subreddit talking about how it has a hood scoop. So it can't be like a BRZ. It's got to be most likely the STI. And so the kind of teaser is what people are looking at is, your carbon fiber roof with a black carbon fiber wing on the back. So just like we just talked about with the RS limited edition next year, it's kind of following that same suit. It's kind of doing the two different color combination that we're looking at. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. Most likely it'll probably be one of those things where it's even more expensive than the STI. So that's hard for me to believe as a WRX owner that the STI is close to 40 and now you might have something like this, which is like a 45, 48 type of situation, which is far beyond my price point at this time for looking at a new car.
I mean, yeah. So school me, Patrick. I don't know a damn thing about the Type RA. What makes what we know very little about what the new one is, but why the hype?
In the past, your RA was kind of something that was beefier in all realms. So your appearance, your performance, your interior, it had the works. It had what the WRX STI should have had, and that everyone always wanted. When you look at a car and you're like, it should have came like this from factory. This is what it was. It had the works for everything from your suspension to your rims to your seats to beefed up engine bay and performance. So it's definitely worth checking out and looking into and doing the research. The whole series then, your whole series, the 2.5 series, that look, that model, that body style is very much in demand, and the fact that with the RA. So I'm excited about it and eager to find. We'll follow this. We'll update on news on it and see where we go from there.
So all right. I'm trying to gauge your Subaru fanboyism because I want to know your reaction to the fact that they're going to offer gold rims again.
I'm excited about that. I kind of wish I had them for my car, to be honest. Gold rims would be fantastic. I mean, I'm a big fan of the BBS gold rims that we have now on some of the cars.
Good to know. Well, that's not the only Subaru tease, because I believe in 2 days Subaru is gonna actually unveil both the RA and a new BRZ, sort of, kinda. File me under trepidatiously hyped for the BRZ.
Don't be sour.
BRZ quote unquote STI, which not only has gotten its own teaser image, but also was spotted in the wild on a test drive in Michigan. This gets my click every time these types of stories comes out, whether it's a car show and they've got a show BRZ STI, but this is the first time we've seen one with STI badging being tested, albeit it's being covered up on the tester, but then we got the teaser images, which has a nice big fat close up of the most absurd wing I've ever seen on a BRZ that has STI.
Those are making comebacks. They are making comebacks.
Oh, they are. But put it on a Dodge Viper. Don't put it on a 200 horsepower BRZ, please. Anyways, so it's a BRZ branded or a STI branded BRZ. Got a big old wing. Got some extra kind of body, side skirts, all that kind of jazz. Big, huge Brembo brakes in the front. It looks like, as I mentioned, tester was spotted. But every time this happens, we get excited, right? We get excited. Oh my God, we're going to finally get a forced induction STI BRZ, and that's never the case. It always comes around that, oh no, it's just performance upgrades. We've given it bigger brakes. We've given it a better suspension, all that kind of jazz on a car that already stops just fine and handles like a dream.
Yep.
So we don't know. I'm not already doomsaying. I've just been hurt before, Patrick. So my question is, if this once again is the same old story of no, this does not have a turbo in it. Who actually wants this car? Who is this car for?
Here is what I thought about with that question. So look at the model that they did with the Impreza WRX and the STI. So the STI is pretty much a beefed up WRX,
which is a beefed up family sedan.
different brakes, different rotors, different suspension, and then in some of the models it has a larger turbo as well, different tune on it. My thought is that someone thought, okay, we have the BRZ, we have the car enthusiast community that is doing things to these cars. Right. Why don't we offer two models just like our WRX? People will buy it because think of it this way: if you went into a dealership looking for a BRZ, and you went, okay, I'm going to buy this car, and in the next year, I would like to do everything it doesn't have but should have. The little additional horsepower, the different brakes, rotors, rims, maybe the spoiler on the back. So that's exactly what this seems like to me, that they're just going that route of offering a different stage in that platform. It's just the second level that has all those on it. The hard part for me will be justification on cost. What is this going to cost? And then are you getting close to that WRX cost as well? So but other than that, I think it looks cool, it looks great, but I'm in the same boat as you. Is I would rather see this turbocharged, and then you drop this into a totally different market of who this is trying to sell to. Yeah,
well, the other thing too is that if all it has is upgraded brakes, upgraded suspension, and a big old wing, I believe it was just last year, Subaru already started offering upgrades in both suspension and brakes. So, unless they go one step further in what they're offering, the wing is really the only new thing here.
It's just now they can package it all together and charge you more for it. That's all. That's
my thinking. But yeah, basically, I'm super skeptical. However, if I am pleasantly surprised and Thursday comes in like, oh, by the way, yeah, it's a first induction BRZ, I'm gonna have a crisis on my hands, Patrick, because it's gonna take everything in my being not to drive the FRS over to my local Subaru dealership.
Next week they come out and announce it, and it's like, and it will have a turbo, and Garrett's like, Can I get out of my financing?
Yeah, no, I'll keep the Mustang. The FRS will be at my local Subaru dealership the next day if that happens.
I can see Katie riding that in style.
Oh, she'd have a good time.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be fun. That would be fun. Okay, so whatever the case is, crossing my fingers. Mm-hmm. Someone out there's like, but Gary, you could put a turbo in it yourself. It's really expensive, and I don't want to deal with that. I'm old. All right, so on to pricing. You led into today's episode talking about gray area legal fun in your car against a Honda Civic, and as a fellow previous hatchback owner, I'm sure you've at least been keeping a mild eye on the Civic Type R.
Yep.
It's coming. It's coming to the States. We're getting it. It looks really mean.
It's definitely different. It's definitely different than what I expected. But it looks like a lot of fun, and it's a competitor in the market of the cars that I'm most passionate about, which is the tuners. This car is now taking the Civic into that tuner market. And granted, some people may argue, oh, well, they were already there. But yeah, but after what, $5,000, $7,000 that you put into the motor to get a turbo on it and everything. So I'm excited about it. The price point's a little high for me, but I like it. What are your thoughts on the $34,000 price point?
I mean, when you compare it to what I think it should be compared to, which is the STI, the RS, and the GTI-R, it's aggressively priced, but there's that but, right? There's that but. It's missing power to two of the wheels that those other cars that I just rambled off have power to.
Yep.
It's front wheel drive only. And it's not going to win the bragging competition in horsepower to something like the RS either. It's coming in slightly under. But a sticker price got leaked, basically, is what happened, and it showed it at the touring trim level, priced at $34,775. And I do think I don't know. I think it's aggressively priced. It obviously had to come in under, I think, its competitors because of the fact that it is not all-wheel drive. And that's just kind of the end for me. Like if it would be, you would have to be I feel like you have to be a Civic fanboy, because when you're looking at that price point and then you're looking at everything else that's there, just like you said, the RS, the Type R for the Golf, your STI, your WRXs, everything that's around that realm that exists in there. To me, it's hard for me to be like, oh, well, I'm going to go with the Civic. Well, why? Are you going for it for power? Are you going for it for handling? Well, you probably go with the all-wheel drive side. There's got to be some type of Civic loyalty that would pull you to it, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, not at all. But to me, it just, when you're looking at all the other ones that are the all-wheel drive, that's a no-brainer for me. But at the same time, look at someone like you, who, when you were looking at cars most recently, the all-wheel drive was a factor, but wasn't for you because you're like, I live in Florida. Like, I don't need the all-wheel drive from the weather aspect. It's more of a, hey, it's great to pop out of the gate so easily with the all-wheel drive, but it wasn't a factor. Yeah, no. To me, it really wasn't. That's why I probably wasn't as enthusiastic about a WRX. I was enthusiastic about an STI or an RS because you can bias the power to the rear wheels, and I'm a big rear wheel fanboy, and that sounds lovely. Front wheel drive is probably where I am the least enthusiastic, but damn it, I drove 3 different STs and I had an idiot child smile on my face the entire time, so I can't get on front wheel drive that hard either. So I don't know. This is the kind of thing we're looking at. The price is aggressively priced. Mostly because of my Focus fanboyism, that I had a Focus. I always wanted to trick it out. I would spend the extra money and go and get the RS, like, right, if I had to make a decision right now. At the end of the day, though, because of the fact that it is aggressively priced, this is one of those cases where I would just have to drive it before I could really.
And maybe we're absolutely wrong. I mean, we're looking at it from such a high level. Maybe once you drive it, it is like night and day, and it stands out completely from its competitors. We don't know a ton about it. Just as Garrett had said, it's a pricing leak. So as we learn more, I think we'll report back on it. Yeah, absolutely. And when someone is dumb enough to let me drive theirs, I'll also report on that. So. Sounds wonderful. And so we just talked about the Civic Type R, which can't go bragging to the other hot hatches about its horsepower. Let's talk about the car that can brag about its horsepower to basically every other car, every other production car, the Dodge Demon, which was this the one that oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. I'm losing so much nerd cred right here. Who's the guy from Fast and Furious, bald head? Vin Diesel? Vin Diesel. Oh my word, I just lost so much cred. I mean, at this point, actually, that's a hard question to answer because it's either Vin Diesel, it's either The Rock, or it's Jason Statham. You have to be more specific. I saw that Vin Diesel was actually being used to market this. Yes, he is in the Dodge commercials. And I saw the Dodge Demon release video that they released, and it was kind of super cheesy. Reminded me of something you do in the 90s where it like had the car in like a cage and it like had smoke going and it was all fake, and then it drives out. and he's like hyping it up. Did you see that at all?
I have, and all I have to say to you is, dude, it's a Dodge. Like, what do you expect? I mean, the entire.
Don't send your Dodge hate emails to us.
No. I'm saying that, like, it's on point. The branding is on point. It's the entire purpose of all of this. The Dodge Challenger. All it is trying to do is elicit something in you that makes you think of old school muscle cars. It is the most. It's true. It is the most muscle car of all of the muscle cars that are currently being built.
So, for me though, I like it. I think it's cool. I'm a tuner, but I of course have respect for all cars and especially Enthusiast. The price point is what gets me, because there's so many other cars, me personally, that I would buy for that price point. What about you?
Oh, yes. Yeah. But at the same time, like, it doesn't really surprise me because it has 840 horsepower.
Yeah.
So the pricing was revealed. It's going to start at $84,995. So basically $85K. That puts it at almost $20,000 more than the Hellcat, which is boasting 707 horsepower, which for like dollar per horsepower you can't really beat that equation.
Correct.
And not to mention the myriad of bizarre $1 options. Have you heard about this?
I have not seen that.
Okay, so literally $1 options when you go pick up your Dodge Demon. A passenger seat is a $1 option.
Wow. Okay.
But
I guess if you're going to take this thing and drag it straight out, you're like, no, I don't need a passenger seat.
Yeah. The rear seat's a $1 option. The trunk carpet's a $1 option. And the Demon crate, which is they're saying is worth over $6,000, but you can get it for $1. Comes with skinny front wheels for dragging, performance powertrain control module, conical air filter, passenger mirror block-off plate, 2 valve stems, and a set of track tools.
It sounds like someone had a lot of fun with this.
$5 gets you all of that. On top of $84,995. Yeah, I mean, for the price, no, I would never go and get a GT350R and just be done. But did you hear anything about them doing like a limited run of these? Like it reminds me of something you would do, like exactly with like the RS, like absolutely,
the end of life cycle. Like
they're only building 3,300 of them.
Okay. That makes more sense to me. That's fun. That's cool. Good for the manufacturer. When I'm thinking of this in like mass production, I'm like, who's going to buy this car? Like, seriously.
I mean, Dodge fans, man. Dodge fans that have money are going to buy this car. I think a lot of people are going to buy them and they're going to garage them, and it's mostly going to appreciate. And if you really want to make it rare, apparently go and get yourself a sunroof because it's a $5,000 upcharge. So I don't think anyone's going to have it. It's a car I will never have. I'll probably never get the chance to drive one, but I'm so glad it exists.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, oh yes, we have that model if you want it. It's over there. No one buys it, but it's there.
Yeah. There is still a 2013, I think, GT500, brand new, sitting at our local Ford dealership in the showroom.
Oh my word.
Yeah, I've watched multiple GT350s come and go. In the time that GT500.
Yeah, the GT350s aren't really a rarity anymore. When they first came out, it was like, oh, that's awesome. They're hard to get. They're great. And now they're just, they're not a GT. I'm not saying they are. Like, GTs are everywhere. The EcoBoost are everywhere now. But for me to see 350, I'm like, oh, 350, cool, nice car, respectful. But I'm like, you see it once a month, it's probably normal for you.
I've seen maybe 2. Period in the wild.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we have quite a few up here.
Matter of fact, I just saw my first Hellcat in the wild.
I have not seen one of those
over the weekend, and it was not a Challenger; it was a Charger. I'm not even joking. It was outside of Toys R Us. So that was my dream. My thought was, if I was gonna drop the money on a Hellcat, I think I'd go for the Charger over the Challenger just for the fact that it's a freaking family sedan with over 700
that's very
horsepower.
true.
It's just absurd to me. So it was still there when we pulled in. It was still there when we left. So I have no idea who it was. But in my head, some guy loaded his whole family up and took him to Toys R Us in the family Hellcat, and that makes my heart smile.
Good for him.
So that's fantastic. So out of curiosity, just out of morbid curiosity, Patrick, if I gave you $85,000, what would you go buy?
Porsche 911 Turbo.
Okay. Are you a Porsche fan? We've never really had this conversation.
All the cars behind me on this, if you guys are watching on video, are all Porsches. They're all convertibles too. That are up on the rack here. So yes. No, I definitely am. I grew up, my grandfather had a few Porsches. My dad had a few Porsches. So I'm definitely a fan. I'd love to have one at some point. Definitely go with, your 911 Turbo series. Would love to get into like a GT3 or something like that. But those are not your daily drivers. Those are your fun weekend toys when I'm retired. So we'll see someday.
All right, fair enough. I think I'd still go for a GT350 or even a GT350R. Either of those, I'd still have money left over.
I would still take those too if I had to.
All right, fair enough. Sounds good. There's also this bizarre part of me, and I don't know at what point this happened in my life, but every time I see an F-Type, I'm just like, I would drive that.
Yeah. If someone had to force me, I guess I could do that, if I had to.
So yes, if someone had to twist your arm and make you drive a Jaguar Roadster.
How dare I?
Oh, my Lord. Okay, so we actually got an email, which I say that I know both of us have done podcasts and have like our own followings and whatnot, but it's still exciting when you do like one episode of a show that has like no freaking subscribers and you still get an email after your inaugural
And it's
episode.
actually an email that's got quite some context to it. It's not just like a one sentence email, It actually someone took the time to write this, which I'm excited about.
Absolutely, and it is so clearly aimed at you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It is hilarious. So if you are within the sound of my voice and you would like to write into Mostly Car Stuff, address your email to mcarstuff@gmail.com. Yes, we tried every possible email address before we landed on that. So Tom writes in and he wants used WRX buying advice. This is, hey guys, Tom here. Loved the first episode. Figured I'd write in to get your opinion on a vehicle I'm looking to buy. I found this 2006 Hawkeye WRX on Craigslist. It's in very good shape. It's a southern car with a few tasteful mods under the hood. I was wondering, what do you think about the reliability of this vehicle in the modded state that it is in, as it's going to be an everyday driver? Or am I looking to buy someone else's problems? This will be the first WRX I have ever owned. I live in Michigan, so the all-wheel drive is an added bonus. A list of the few upgrades that the car has on it is here. Feel free to give me any insight so I know what I'm looking at. Thanks. Also, it says, P.S. What kind of horsepower am I looking at? It's running 21 pounds of boost. So, Patrick, I will throw it over to you, and you can take us through what Tom is calling tasteful mods.
All right, so we'll kind of go through this, break it down, some of the things he brought up and some red flags. To give my credentials on this part, I've had 3 WRXs. I have modded all 3 of them, 2 of them pretty heavily and 1 of them not so much. And I've been around the community for quite a while, so I understand everything he's listed here. And there's a few things that stand out. First off, you said a daily driver, which means the car has to be reliable. You have to get to and from work. Something else that was mentioned, I didn't see mentioned in here, was nothing about mileage. I didn't see anything about a mileage. So it's 2006. Does it have 45,000 miles on it, similar to my car, who's a 2005? Or does it have 145,000 miles on it? So, yeah, it's my car. I got my car with like no miles on it 2 years ago. So looking at this, nothing stands out from the first paragraph that you talked about, just being a daily driver. It has to be reliable. So the mileage is important. I would say if this is a 2006 and it has 80,000 or above, expect sometime in the next 5 years that your motor may go. Only because of the modifications that are done to the car. If your mileage is less than 80,000, I think you're okay for now. You're going to get quite a few miles out of it. Regardless of what gets spits out on forums and on Reddit and stuff like that, the WRX motor is reliable, but you have to keep in mind you have to maintenance it properly. My motor was rebuilt back in July because the timing belt shredded from the previous owner. He didn't replace it, and so it caused the entire motor, the valves to go up into the pistons, and I had to rebuild the motor. That could have been avoided by like $100 belt. Instead, it was like a $5,000 motor rebuild. So a lot of these things are what you need to keep in mind. Like if you're going to get a WRX, it has to be maintenance to a T. So now looking through some of your modifications, your first question is what type of horsepower does it have? We'll get to that at the very end after we go through a few of the list of mods. He does say he's at 21 pounds of boost, so far from factory. 2006 factory WRX, you're looking at 13 pounds of boost from factory. Now he's at 21. Well, what does he have to warrant that? So he has a Blausch 16G XTR. A 16G is not huge. It's a good step up from your TD04 turbo that the WRXs come with. It's going to give you more power, bigger, more boost. He has 1,000cc Detchworks injectors. That is a ton. Those are huge. Not a bad thing. You never want to max out your injectors. That's pretty much the end of your tuning for that car. If you do. So 1,000cc means that someone went into this thinking that they were going to probably modify it more than they did. You could have got away with probably 800cc injectors. So that's nice to know. You have some decent ones there. It says a front mount intercooler. Doesn't say what kit it is regardless. With this setup, a front mount is a must. You don't want a lot of heat soak, so that is a good thing to have. If this was a top mount, you'd be getting a lot of heat soak coming off of that aftermarket turbo. So great that he has the front mount intercooler. Walbro fuel pump, it's probably a 255. Very typical with these builds. This is a cookie cutter build. You have an inlet inlet tube, typical as well. You have a catless downpipe and full exhaust. Nothing to be special there. This is normal. StopTech slotted drilled rotors. I have the same ones. They are fantastic. Nice upgrade for braking. Version 3 access point, so it's newer, which means he's done it sometime in the last 3 years. The access point is used for tuning. And then he says tuned by Boosted Performance. I'm not familiar with them. Granted, I am more East Coast knowledgeable, and then Cobb on the West Coast. It says maintained by, and then he provides where it was tuned. Now we get into a big one. It says tuned on E85. E85 is like God's fuel. It is literally going to increase your horsepower between 75 to 100 horsepower from going from like 93 octane to E85. You gain a significant amount of horsepower. It is ridiculous. Things to keep in mind with this is E85, for if those of you guys interested in it, requires a whole fuel system overhaul, which this person has done. Unless you're in an area that has E85 on every corner, which like Pennsylvania we do not, so no one runs it. But the West Coast, they do. You're probably not going to run on E85, which is the full car's potential. You're probably going to run on 91 or 93. Yeah, so taking a look at the whole thing, everything looks good. You included pictures. It looks in good shape. Looks good. I like the rims that you included on it. What concerns I have? So my concerns is you said reliability. I would not buy this car. Here's why. You're looking for something you can drive daily. This person has put modifications in their car which no longer make it reliable. I'm sorry for anyone who says this will be reliable, but with this amount of modifications, I mean, seriously, look, you've swapped out your turbo, you swapped out your injectors, your fuel system. It is not going to be reliable. We all love those. But you ever see those memes that say like, oh, my car's working, and he's excited, and then he's like, oh, my car is broken. Oh, my car is ready to race. Oh, it's broken. That is this car right here. This, when you get to these, I had one of these. My car was modified and very similar. So what I would recommend for you is, let me answer your question. What kind of horsepower? I would say you're in the 400s when you're on E85. I would say you're in the high 300s when you are on 93 octane. I would say 365, 370. Based off of these modifications, because I had a car. I had an 04 WRX with an exact same setup, except I had an 18G. Smaller injectors, but the rest was the same, and mine made 345 to the wheels. So that's what and this is all wheel horsepower, and I was on 24 pounds of boost. So hopefully that answers your questions. Maybe I went down a few different rabbit holes and paths that I probably shouldn't have, but if I was you getting into my first WRX, do what I do and find one that is not modified. They're super hard to find. They are unicorns.
Oh, good luck.
Okay, I say super hard. Garrett's laughing. I'll let him explain.
Okay, so I just got out of an extensive car shopping experience. It was mostly only extensive because I could live without a car. I don't have to have one. I work from home. Yeah. My wife drives freaking like 3 miles to work every day. Don't need it. It's stupid. This is the dumbest financial decision I've ever made in my life.
I support it.
But I'm extremely excited now that I have it. Whatever the case is, I considered a ton of different cars. I wanted to get something fun for the weekends when I do actually drive, and I wanted it to be stick because I wanted to finally freaking learn how to drive stick. And of course, like everything in this world, when you start looking to go buy something, it just ramps up and ramps up and ramps up, and you end up getting something. You end up spending way more than you needed to, which is what happened in my case. But I started looking at used Focus STs and used WRXs. Those were really the first two searches that I set up on my Auto Trader account. Set up alerts, set up everything. And if you're up in Michigan, it might not be as hard, although God help you, you're in the north, so you might find one without mods, and then you have to go and look under it and see if it's about to fall off of itself from rust. But I had the WRXs were unicorns here. It was an absolute nightmare trying to find a damn WRX, and I really never did. Maybe four popped up. I think that, and
most of them had something. Some of them had something done to them. Yes. It wasn't just completely stock. Like that literally, when Garrett was sending WRXs or STIs my way, I diagnosed them in this exact same way.
Yeah.
I was like, show me a picture of the engine, and I'll tell you what's done to it. Like, it was the exact situation.
It was funny when we got this email, because I was just like, oh, goody. I thought I was done listening to Patrick pick apart used cars via email links. But yeah, maybe four popped up that I would even have seriously considered going and looking at. Maybe two of those were in a price point I actually wanted to go look at them, and those two were gone within days. They were just poof, gone.
Yeah, the stock ones, if you can find a stock one, if you don't buy it that moment, as you said, it will disappear, because they really do. Like, the ones that I came across that were fully stock was because they presented themselves to me. It wasn't me looking. Like, my latest one, it was my wife's cousin's husband at a wedding was talking about how he ordered a new WRX, and he was looking to part with his, and I literally offered him the offer in cash, not at that moment, but like at the wedding, I had a few drinks in me, and I was like, I will give you this much cash. I will fly up in 2 weeks. And he's like, sold. And that he didn't even list it yet. It just kind of came about because they're so hard to find.
Yeah, they really are. And they're a lot of money for, like, when you compare it to really damn near any other car remotely in its class. And I'm not even going to say that the other cars I ended up looking at, like Mustangs, like STs, are really in the same class. ST closer, 4-cylinder turbo, not all-wheel drive, but it's close enough. But I could get so much more ST for my dollar compared to
You're not wrong.
The WRX.
And the crazy thing is, too, I remember you bringing up in conversations, since we're talking about purchasing, is like, you'd be looking at these cars and be like, I can't justify that for like an 8-year-old car or like a 10-year-old car. Like, you're just like, I'm not spending $20,000 for a car that's 10 years old. I don't understand. And
specifically like that car, there are cars that are old that I would like to spend that amount of money on, but I personally don't have the affinity. I don't have any type of connection to Subaru. I've never had one, and I don't have anything against them. I would love to go take one for a spin and form my own opinion, but it just that's not my jam, really, is what it came down to. But there were a few that popped up. The ones I really liked were STIs, and of course that put them in, once I started looking at STIs, I was looking at the pricing of a Mustang GT, which you have all your opinions you want. If you're a Subaru fan, you're probably screaming at your headphones. If you're a Ford fan, I cheer alongside you, sir or madam. But at that point, that's where it becomes I think an emotional decision. Which one would you rather have? Which one do you have any type of connection to? And for me, I've had 2 Fords in my life. I had a Mustang, never had an 8-cylinder, always wanted one. And if I was going to go and splurge a little bit and go one tier up and grab the STI, I was going to go first and test drive a 2015 GT and see how I liked it.
Yeah. No, it's a good call. I think to end things off for Tom, like keep us updated. Let us know kind of what you end up doing. I mean, if you do end up buying this, I understand. Like you get the itch and the teeth are sunk in deep, and you go for it, and you fall in love. That's fine. If you don't go with this, let us know. Shoot us emails, and I'll get back to you one-on-one. Let you know my thoughts on other models. I don't mind letting you know. Just kind of things to give a heads up on if you're definitely in that super market.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone else, again, if you want to shoot us an email, mcarstuff@gmail.com. The letter M, carstuff@gmail.com. And I think that's going to wrap it up for our second episode, Patrick. We will plan to be back in 2 weeks, which I already know one thing we'll be talking about. We're talking about what the heck Subaru is going to unveil in 2 days. I hope to God it's a forced deduction of BRZ. Please.
Take your bets, people.
I wouldn't bet on it. If I'm putting money down, I'm putting my money down in, oh, look, another normal ass BRZ with a couple extra things added on. But
agreed.
Whatever the case is, Patrick, when you are not doing this particular podcast, where can folks find you?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I post there pretty often with a lot of the car stuff that I'm doing on my car. It's Octane Pro SCII. And then if you're looking for more YouTube-centric videos, install videos, I recently put up my dyno video of my car at IAG Performance in Maryland. You could check that out. Just go on YouTube and search for Daily Driven WRX. It's a white and red logo, and check it out. Hit subscribe and enjoy the videos.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I believe you are posting the video of this here podcast there.
Yep.
In case anyone would prefer the video version to an audio version. Go and check it out over there. Folks, I am on Twitter at Garrett Art. There are 2 R's and 2 T's in my name, Garrett. I hope to goodness that you know how to spell art. Every other podcast I do, they are all video game themed, with the exception of a Star Wars podcast, where even then sometimes video games are brought up, can be found at amove.tv. That's amove.tv. And I also do graphic design in my spare time. nomoonart.com is the place to go and find my graphic design portfolio, as well as a forum to contact me if you need a graphic designer. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. So until next time, I will just say take care, and Patrick, don't race people. What are you doing?
Sorry, Dad.
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.